Hi guys, it's about 4:20 Eastern, 3:20 Central. Well, I'm uh, I'm back. I'm sorry I haven't been here for the past week. Here, it's just been things have been hectic around, and actually have been very hectic around here past couple weeks. Things are finally calming down, and actually the country is not active. There's not a lot of severe weather to talk about. There are a few things to talk about, though. How about portions of Arizona and California where it's absolutely blazing hot? Oh my goodness, we're talking about hundreds. It's a little too hot for me, but you know, excessive heat warnings out there. Then we have into Colorado. If you look carefully, there's a few little dots and little, you know, these little dots. It's actually for the mountains, a winter weather advisory. We'll talk about that in a little while. Then we have into northern Wisconsin and northern Michigan a frost advisory. There's a red flag warning in northern Minnesota. And other than that, there's a little bit of rain across the south here today. And actually, there could be also some flooding into that region as well. So we're going to start off with the radar imagery. Then we'll talk about the watches and the warnings. Now, when I said a little bit of rain, it's quite a bit. It's a ton of rain here through the south today. Some thunderstorms here, some of these strong, bringing some hail at times, small hail or some gusty winds. However, the primary event is down here, and it's actually this area of weather that's going to eventually pull its way to the north, going through Tennessee, and eventually work its way up into the northeast, giving them some nice rain. Now, again, so here is a nice front that's moving through. Today, temperatures are very warm out there in the northeast. Temperatures into the 80s, 70s and 80s, and there's a few little spots of rain here and there, and potentially, I don't know if this area of rain is just, I know this is rain up in here, but I don't know if this is rain or if it's just from the radar. I don't know, but in any case, that's what's going on when it comes in terms of the radar imagery. There's also some rain back out into Nebraska and Kansas. And also Colorado, and also there's some scattered rain showers, nothing heavy through. There is some embedded heavier rains, but primarily light rain through Arkansas, going through Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, and on into portions of Ohio. So that's what's going on when it comes in terms of the radar. Now, talking about some of the warnings here, let's talk about what's going on in California and in parts of Arizona. Excessive heat warning, really. That's up until Tuesday. Temperatures from 106 to 110 degrees each afternoon. Some relief during the late evenings and during the nighttime and with temperatures going back into the 70s and 80s. Yeah, they can keep that hot stuff there. There's also a air quality alert for some people into Arizona due to the sinking air and the warm temperatures here. It is causing a little bit of some air quality issues. Now, going into Colorado, this is my personal favorite thing to talk about, is the potential for some snow. Some areas picking up maybe 5 to 10 inches, maybe a foot across the highest peaks. So that sounds pretty nice for some people. This is a daily snowfall map from the National Weather Service in Colorado. There's been some areas that have been picking up about 5.5 inches, and then 3.4, and then another 1.8 in some localized regions. But most people think Denver is always gets it, but it's actually not a big region to get snow. they're not cold. They can get very warm with temperatures warmer than New England, actually. Here's a frost advisory. They can also be colder than New England as well. But frost advisory into northern portions of Michigan and Wisconsin. Tonight, temperatures should be dropping back into the lower and middle 30s. Northern Michigan, and then you got northern Wisconsin. Same exact deal. 30s and generally 30s, and some localized regions could get upper 20s tonight. So pretty chilly stuff. There was actually frost advisories in New England last night. Now, a red flag warning for portions of Minnesota today, as of course temperatures will be fairly warm, low humidities, and with the wind combined together to give out some potential fires here. So then, of course, we all know about those flood watches and warnings across the Gulf Coast. You saw the rains that were falling there. So that's what's going on across the country here when it comes in terms of watches and warnings. Now, this is what's going on across the next couple of days. There's that low, there's that system be moving through the country and coming up to the northeast, giving them eventually some pretty hefty rains. Could be some rain back out into New Mexico as well, associated with a little bit of a low that will be coming through there, and that will eventually spread into Texas. And that will look to eventually dissipate and kind of weaken and move down towards Mexico. There's that low that moves up into the northeast by about Tuesday or Wednesday. Now, that's the NAM model. This is the Canadian model, and you can sort of see there's that low pressure out into the south, Texas, Arkansas. There's that heavy rain, and then as you can see, that moves north, and it could be bringing New England and the northeast fairly heavy rain. Now, there's a question on whether the system will move like this or like this. If it moves like this, like the Canadian is suggesting, then it would mean eastern Massachusetts would get the heaviest amounts of rain. If it moves more like this, then it would mean western New England would be getting the heaviest amounts of rain. So really for people who live in New England, it's going to matter. It really will depend upon the track on who's going to get the jackpot amounts of rain. Now, that's what's going on here. Then you can see the Canadian suggests, hey, that there's going to be another little low that forms, and it could give another little pulse of rain for the northeast, particularly New York City, through Boston, up into Maine. So we'll have to see about that. So that's the Canadian model. This is the GFS model, and you can sort of see this low moves its way northward, brings rain, and then you can see that the GFS model is not suggesting that there will be a secondary low pressure system that will form and give the northeast more rain. And you can sort of see there could also be on Thursday a little bit of rain that moves through Minnesota and also Wisconsin. We'll have to see about that. Then we are going to really focus our attention here. There also could be some rain or even some snow in the higher elevations of Montana and also Idaho. So we'll have to watch out for that. Now, the big thing that's going to really, everyone's going to be watching over the next week or so is the potential for a tropical system to develop. There has been several questions on how this storm is going to move, where it's going to track. There's a lot of questions associated with this particular system that's going to be forming down towards the Caribbean. Actually, what's going to happen is it's starting to form right now out in the west coast of Mexico. That's going to move. You really can't see it from here, but it's going to move through southern Mexico and actually move towards the Caribbean. And what it does when it heads towards the Caribbean or the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico, it could move through Florida and eventually up the East Coast. It could move out to sea. There's several out into the mid-Atlantic of the Mid-Atlantic Ocean. there's several questions being posed. However, you notice there's a cold front out here into the central portions of the country, giving rain for the UP of Michigan, out into portions of Wisconsin, Missouri, Illinois. That is really going to be the key factor on whether this system down here will affect the United States, because as you can see, this storm continues to move out like this. As the front comes closer, you can see what happens is it moves out to sea. If this front doesn't come through, or if it slows down, then that would allow this storm system to move northward, affecting Florida, somewhere along the east coast. Now, it's unclear whether it will become a tropical storm, whether it will become a hurricane, or just a plain old low pressure system. However, this is going to be the general region where there will be a lot of tropical systems forming, is into southern Florida, the Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico. They will not be forming out in the eastern portions of the Atlantic. When you have tropical systems forming down in here, it gives the East Coast a very high potential of seeing something that could be pretty nasty. So this is really assuring me that there could be some issues this year, because there's already looking to me as if there could potentially be some development down into portions of the Caribbean. So that's going to definitely be watched over the next week or so. Now, through time, there could be some more rain that moves through, another system that comes through. So we'll have to see, and there could be continual rains into the New England region. So we'll have to see what happens with that. So generally, that's what's going on across the country for now. We'll give you another update tomorrow. But for right now, have a great rest of your Saturday, and we'll be back tomorrow. Take care, everyone.